Hey, Sports Buzz. I am Charlie Voelker along with Rob Totaro here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, and the free 104.5 The Team app. And it's time for our CEFQ Sunday Sit Down. You can find all of your financial solutions at CEFQ.com. And this is a cool Sunday Sit Down because we get a guy that's, Rob, coming back. He was with us in July. And not only was he a U.S. congressman, he's now the president of Siena College. One of the coolest people we've talked to on Sunday Sports Buzz. Please welcome back Dr. Chris Gibson. And Dr. Gibson, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks, Charlie, and excited to be with you. Thanks.
Well, it's been a difficult year, and I know there's a lot of negativity, and everybody seems to focus on the negatives. But as a former U.S. congressman, as someone who served in the military, don't you think this pandemic has really shown some of the amazing cooperation and ingenuity of our people to be able to get through such a terrible event?
Well, indeed, number one. Number two is I think this is classic for human behavior. You go back time out of memory, and, I mean, one of the aspects of our species, we're very resilient. Kubler-Ross talked about the 5 stages that humans go through. It is true. It takes a while for us to sort of deal with the psychological shock of exogenous change, but, then humans find a way. I mean, we find a way to overcome. And, just take a look at the vaccinations, for example. I mean, this is the first time in history that we've used this new approach, this unlocking of the genetic code. I mean, heretofore, we essentially used some aspects of the virus, and we injected it into your body. And, we worked on, your system basically worked its way through. But in this case, we actually used a whole different approach to developing a vaccine, and using this approach, 2 things. One is we got it done faster, and the second thing is it looks like it's more effective.
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, to me, this kind of ingenuity, as you said, it really shows the best in human nature. And, we turn on the TV and we just see all the problems. But I try to look at the bright side of these things and saying, wow, people really came together. They used the science that was available, and now look where we're going.
Well, it's important in moments like these, and I abstract now, I'm talking more generally. But, the key piece here is leadership, and it's important not to panic. When you're facing an existential threat, you've got to sort of see it clearly, see it for what it is, understand what can be learned from the past, but then actually anticipate where your problem set's going to be when you need to make the moves. See, this is the key thing throughout history is what should we learn and how should we apply it? Because there have been, counterexamples. You look at what Chamberlain in the 1930s, that whole generation went through the First World War, so many lost, and they said never again. And when he went to Munich, he was convinced he was doing the right thing. And in his pact with Hitler, I mean, obviously that turned out that appeasement didn't work. I mean, but at the same time, then after the Second World War, that generation so affected, right? They said never again, never Munich, and then we ended up with Vietnam. So, I think that this is never an easy thing, but it's sort of understanding what we can learn from history, but also anticipating what the future problem set is. I mean, I can tell you, we use that approach at Siena College. As we were looking at this pandemic, we studied what happened in 1918 to 1920. We particularly dialed in on how long these pandemic waves last. And, first and foremost, we adjusted our academic calendar. We started earlier and we ended before Thanksgiving. And, that decision in itself actually played a major role in allow us to open and go all the way to the end without any pauses. And so, likewise, we actually moved the academic calendar. We moved that calendar in the spring. We actually start Monday. And I should say that the key takeaway was that these waves in 1918 to 1920 essentially lasted about 3 months. So we then tried to determine, is this going to be something that's likely to be the case in this case with the coronavirus? And we deduced that the answer was yes. And so we'll see how this goes. But, I mean, up till now, a lot of that application of history actually helped us going forward.
Well, you talk about leadership, and we have one of the greatest ones on the line here, as I think, because you do a wonderful job over there at Siena College. You were a wonderful U.S. congressman for us. We're hanging out with Dr. Chris Gibson, of course. How much of your military training prepared you to lay out this plan?
Well, I believe, quite frankly, it was essential because, look, there's not live bullets that are flying here as it's been in the past when I've led men and women in Iraq. But, this threat is very serious. I mean, even as it's invisible. And so, what I did first and foremost, as I mentioned moments ago, it's important to really build the team. I mean, the culture. It's important that your organization not panic. There is a balance here. I mean, you don't want to overreact, but you don't want to underreact either. So you have to just get the judgment right. But the first thing I think leadership needs to do in moments like these is to really establish trust. And what was especially challenging given this current environment is a lot of what we had to do is to build trust and to do it over Zoom. The human experience before this has always been intensely personal. I think about my time, building the team before we were deployed to Iraq. We spent a lot of time in intense training. I led paratroopers with the 82nd Airborne Division, and we went through 6-8 weeks of intensive training, very realistic training. And then you'll also do like team building events, even sometimes athletic competitions. You do social events that stress history. All of this was conducing towards, a very solidified group of Americans. And I think that experience helped me when I got to Siena College. We worked very hard on teamwork, on knowing each other and using the vehicle of planning for us to come together as one. And, I would argue you're actually seeing it on the basketball court, too. I mean, you see what, for example, Coach Carm, even though it's in terms of winning and losing, there's been a different experience between the men and women's basketball teams. I would tell you I'm really proud of both of them for different reasons. And it really comes with tenacity, with mental toughness, and leaning into challenges. And so, I would tell you with our men's basketball team, I'm still very hopeful for this year. That we're going to go through, we're going to win down in Atlantic City, and we're going to go to Indiana, and we're going to make a strong impression in this tournament.
Dr. Gibson, we've been really impressed by Coach Carm's ability to incorporate, the importance of teaching moral leadership, and you've talked about it there, and teamwork. How important is it to you to have coaches that teach more than X's and O's?
Well, it's everything. I mean, if you think about what the mission is of Siena College, we often say the world needs more saints. And, the reason why is we believe that our graduates, when they go out and they're in the professional world, whether, they're in business or they're in not-for-profit or government, they bring forward servant-oriented leadership, which really builds the team. It works on culture. It focuses on essence, which is the mission of why, the function of why that organization exists. At the same time, they're really trying to elevate the cohesion, morality, and effectiveness of each individual person on that team and the team. So, this is what Coach Carm is classic for this. He comes right out of our tradition. He's a Capital District boy, Siena graduate himself, and he is very Franciscan. He's passionate. There's no question on that. The guy wants to win.
Absolutely.
Love that about him. But he also understands that ultimately what we're doing is delivering into society young men, in his case, young men, in our case, young men and women, who are going to be leaders. And to do that, they have to understand themselves. They got to understand their mission set, and they got to understand how to get the most out of the people that are on the team. And if you look at, this is what Coach Carm has been doing. So, building that team, that moral leadership you're talking about, not only facilitates your ability to overcome adversity in the moment, and I'm talking about now the season, the coronavirus adversity, the setback of losing late like we did yesterday, all of what he has been doing helps this team. And they're going to come out today, and I believe you're going to see a really inspired basketball team. They're going to win today, and we're going to learn from yesterday. But then if you look over the horizon, what this approach that Coach Carm brings to this team is actually helps these young men when they get out and they graduate.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to make a huge difference for our society.
Absolutely. And that's what you want to do. You want to build student athletes into leaders into the society. And we're hanging out with the president of Siena College, Dr. Chris Gibson, a friend of Sunday Sports Buzz. Congratulations on the naming of the ARC with the UHY Center. It's always great to have those resources come into your program.
Well, absolutely. We appreciate that. We've had a long relationship with many outstanding business entities throughout the Capital District. UHY, one of them. Certainly others. We've appreciated our partnership, our sponsorship with all of our friends, and it makes a difference to us because those resources that we bring in, we then reinvest. We're a not-for-profit. I mean, Siena College, we're not in the business of. We can't go out of business. We got to be good stewards of our resources, but at the same time, we exist for our students. And so when we get a sponsorship like this, it allows us to reinvest. I'll tell you that I was in a meeting this week with JD, John Dargenio, and we're talking about ways that we can use these resources along with others to help our student athletes get to the next level. And so, we're not ready to announce that yet, but I can tell you that, we are talking about how we can use these monies that are going to come in from this sponsorship to help our student athletes, and I think we'll be ready to announce something pretty soon on that.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring you back on. So when that happens, we'll get you and John Dargenio on to talk about that because I have a feeling you've got some pretty cool things up your sleeve. That's my gut on that. And you will be going to the NCAA because you do have a great coach, and he's definitely going to win the MAC and take you to the NCAA tournament.
Well, so. Look, I mean, part of the challenge you've had to deal with this year is just the stop go of the flow of the season. But we catch fire like this. If you look at what we're capable of doing and what we have done at different parts of the season, take for example yesterday. I mean, look at the number 5 position. I mean, you got Kyle Young, you got Golson, you got Stormo, and if you look at the collective achievements of the 5 position yesterday. And then you put that together with what Jalen did early on in the season, when he's scoring 20-plus points. And you look at Manny Camper, who's been consistent all throughout the season with these double-doubles. You put that all together, and Aiden Carpenter did that one game when he had 20 points. Jordan King, tough day yesterday. Well, we actually had a great first half, but, a couple shots right down the stretch that normally would go our way. Doesn't go. You put all that together, and I'm telling you, this team, all of a sudden, you're looking at the possibility of like an upset of like an Ohio State or Vanderbilt or something like that. This is what I know that Coach Kwan is focusing in on, is trying to get all of these pieces to come together at the same time.
We can't let you go without asking you your opinion on your beloved Jets' new head coach, Robert Saleh.
Well, let's see. I mean, I always tell folks, I say half jokingly, as a Jets fan, I mean, if you haven't picked up that habit, I don't recommend it. It's not
Me too.
But look, I mean, I think this is a hire. I think it's very important in moments like these. I say not to panic, also to have your eyes wide open. We got no place to go but up right now. And so when you choose somebody like Saleh, what you're getting is you're getting a leader. This guy's got strong leadership, and he's got great communicative skills. He's shown the ability to build a winning culture. It looks like he's going to bring on this offensive coordinator with him. He's worked with him at the 49ers in the past, and I believe there's reason for optimism that he'll work well with Joe Douglas. And, what they're going to do is they're going to start working on the fundamentals. I mean, it's not likely we're going to get Trevor because he'll probably go to Jacksonville. So, I think they'll have to make a call there early on. But, look, if history is any guide, I think what Saleh's going to do is he's going to come in, he's going to work on these lines. You've got some place to start building when you look at, these guys. They got Williams and Becton. I think they're going to work on the offensive and defensive lines. They've got some reason for optimism with a couple of receivers we already got. But I think he'll work on the fundamentals. He'll make this one of the best defensive football teams going. You take a look at Saleh. He comes out of the Pete Carroll tradition. It's not unknown to the New York Jets. I mean, Carroll spent a couple of years as our head coach. And look, I mean, I believe that look at Parcells, what Parcells did when he came in. And look, I'm not saying Salah's Parcells. I'm not saying that. But I look at that as a guide, and look at what Parcells did. I mean, I think you're going to see improvement right away, but we need to manage expectations as Jets fans. I think you got to give Salah, you got to give him 3 to 4 years to get them back into championship capability. But for those impatient, and I tend to be one of them, I think you'll see improvement right away next year.
All right, well, then the thing is, you and I are going to watch a game together someday when they start to get good so we can enjoy it together. He is Siena College President, Dr. Chris Gibson. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning on Sunday Sports Buzz.
Hey, Charlie, thanks. Thank you, and best wishes to all the listeners out there, too. Go Saints.
Go Saints. And that, again, Siena College President, Dr. Chris Gibson. And, Rob, just what a great guy.
We've had what an incredible show today. Dropping the knowledge from Dr. Gibson here.
That was really
is
cool.
Just,
very cool.
I know you could do hours with him.
Yeah.
And he's going to hate that football game.
I'm going to do a podcast with him.
Yeah.
No, you know what? He would love to talk Jets. I
would.
guarantee you we could get him on and do a whole segment on the Jets. Did you hear him talking about the Jets?
He broke down the basketball team,
right.
the Jets. We were getting into Parcells.
I love it.
It was beautiful.
I absolutely, positively love it. That was really very, very cool. We'll come back with the Fan Cave. This is Sunday Sports Buzz. I'm Charlie Voelker, sitting Sports Side Sunday with Eric Hanneman coming up at 10 o'clock. We've got a great day for you here. Thanks for hanging out with us on Facebook Live, too. Sunday Sports Buzz, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, and the free 104.5 The Team app.